Hello, in this video I'm answering the question, how do you know if you've got anxiety when driving or in any other situation? So when you drive, is your fear normal? Is it what most people have, or is it abnormal, and is it something you maybe need to take therapy for to overcome? Well, I'm in a unique position to answer this because I've been a driving instructor for over 20 years and I've taught over 1,000 people to drive. And I've also been a hypnotherapist for 5 years and worked with hundreds of people all over the world who have what I would consider to be driving anxiety. So let me go over this in detail and I'm going to answer the question. So simply, everyone has anxiety to some degree. And this is really the thing, it's not whether you have anxiety or not, it's to what degree it affects you. So if we use a scale of 0 to 10, with 0 being no anxiety, if that's even possible, and 10 being like a major meltdown where it affects you really badly, most people when they're driving, such as me now, will be sitting somewhere around a 1. So number 1 means you have some respect and some sense of fear. If you had no sense of fear whatsoever, you'd be dangerous because that can be as much a problem as when people say I've got anxiety. There are some people who don't have feelings and emotions and they just don't see danger at all and they just don't get any kind of danger. That can be really dangerous, but that's not what I'm talking about in this video. So I'm driving along and I feel like a number, sort of 1 or 2 on the scale. It's just a normal, everyday drive. Done it millions of times before. So what? But if you have a fear of driving, what I would call driving anxiety, you wouldn't be feeling like this. So common symptoms of what I consider to be driving anxiety that would need therapy involve things like your sweating palms. So people say my hands are gripping the wheel really tightly and they're sweating like mad, and my brow is sweating and I feel my hands and my legs are just getting all sweaty and it's horrible, and my heart's thumping and I've got this overwhelming urge to pull over. For example, there is someone behind me now. If I pull over here, someone with anxiety would have to pull over like this and they'd feel panicked. And I think, oh no, that car's been aggressive. Oh, they've gone. Okay. And then they get themselves ready. They'll move off again. But then they'll think, oh no, there's another car behind me. I've just got to pull over. I'm going to pull over again. I'm just going to pull over here. I'm going to pull over. And if you do that and you have to keep pulling over, I've had people do this every few seconds or every few minutes. They just have to pull over and wait till there's no one around at all. Otherwise, they can't drive. That is not normal behaviour for someone when they're driving. So sweating palms, if you feel like you're going to faint, is another common symptom of driving anxiety. A lot of people say they feel like they're not in their body. They're what we call dissociated. Some people say disassociated, doesn't really matter what you call it. But if you feel like you're floating out of your body and you feel like, many people say, I feel like I'm here, I'm next to myself and I'm outside the car and I'm watching myself drive from the outside. Well, that's not something that I've ever had when I drive. So that is another sign you have what would be known as driving anxiety. Many people I've worked with have said that when they drive, especially at high speed, they feel as though the car is on its side. They say, I feel like I'm driving and the door is sliding down the road and the wheels are up in the air and I can almost hear the door scraping along the road as I'm driving. That is another common sign of driving anxiety. So there are others, but what's all this about? Well, as I've said in other videos, I won't go over it all here because I've made many videos about this, which you can see on my channel. That is just another problem coming out. So you need to understand, as I always say, that driving anxiety has nothing to do with driving. The driving is merely the way it comes out, and when I say it, what's it? An old problem from the past. So most times when I work with people to overcome the fear of driving, it comes down, not always, but in the majority of cases, it comes down to past events in their life. And these are major events. And this is where I want to mention that I don't think a lot of people really understand what I do, because when I tell people that I was a driving instructor for over 20 years and now I work as a therapist, some people, such as I had someone come round to my house the other day to do some work on my house, and I said, oh, so you just kind of chat to people about driving online? No, that's how they think I just said. I said, no, calm down, you'll be fine, it's all right, just take it easy, take a deep breath. And I talked to them about using the mirrors and tactics and techniques for driving. That's not what I do at all. It's nothing to do with it. The people I work with often have major issues that are so bad I can't even say what they are. But if you think of some really bad things that could happen to people, that's what I've had happen with a lot of my clients, and that's what comes out in therapy. And people don't realise this. It's I don't say funny, not funny as in makes you laugh, it's funny as in strange. That to me it's obvious because I do it for a living, but I understand if you don't do this for a living, it doesn't make any sense. People say, well, how come that's got anything to do with driving? It hasn't. That's the whole point. When you drive and it makes no sense because you've been driving for years, right? Some people I work with have been driving for 40 years and they say, I don't get it, why am I scared to drive now? Well, you're not. That's the whole point. You're not actually scared of the driving. You're scared of something else from your past which just comes up when you drive. It's just an event that's replaying in your mind when you drive, which is why it makes no sense, because you're not experiencing driving anxiety. There's no such thing as driving anxiety. It's just anxiety that comes out when you drive. That's why I said at the beginning that it doesn't matter if it's driving, flying, fear of dentists, needles, public speaking, whatever. They're all common phobias and they're all nothing to do with what the problem really is. So if you have a problem from your past, the thing is you often won't know about it because everybody says, oh, but I haven't got anything like that. You have. You just don't know it. That's the thing. And people say, oh no, because I know. You won't. I'm not going to go into this in this video, it's for another one, but there are things from my past that came up when I did hypnosis. Oh, hypnosis, oh, it's dangerous, it's evil. No, it's not. I've done other videos on that. It's nothing to do with having your mind controlled and all that rubbish. When I went into hypnosis, I had things come up and I had no idea these things had happened in my life. But they did. And if you want proof of this, well, think of this. Imagine a time when you were, let's say, 5 years old. So, can you remember everything that happened every day when you were 5 years old? Of course you can't. I mean, who can do that? Well, actually, we all can. I bet you can't remember what you were doing on, for example, the 28th of June when you were 5 years old. But your mind does. It's all in there. If you believe it's in your head, some people say it's in your stomach. It's all in there. It's all recorded. And although you may not know it consciously, let's go and watch out for this van. I'm just going to go back. Talking about going back, I'm going back. Going back in time, I'm going back on the road. Hold on a minute. I don't know if... Just get out of the way. Yep, so I just had to, I just concentrate there, I was reversing. So that's quite good. Going back in the road, going back in time. So yeah, that's a great example. Some people there will get really anxious and be scared and go, oh no, what do I do? And I've had people who said if something like that happened, they would just get out of the car and run. They said I would just get out, open the door, run. I wouldn't even care if someone stole my car. I'm just going. That's the extreme reactions people have. Whereas I just turned around and reversed and got on with it. Kind of choked myself a bit turning around, but never mind. So anyway, where was I? I was saying about how the problem isn't the problem, and you won't remember what the event is. Because people will say, oh, nothing bad's ever happened in my life. It has. You just can't remember it. Oh no, because I'd remember it. You don't remember it. But I know because I'd remember it. You don't. The problem is you're remembering it subconsciously, and it's coming out when you drive. And I'm not saying it's always something terrible. Don't worry, because sometimes it's something quite funny. I had a client once who, when they were a kid, they just remembered dropping a toy. They'd lost a toy, and I started crying and saying, this is stupid. What? Why am I crying because I dropped a toy when I was a kid? Because that's just a trapped emotion. And that trapped emotion was coming up when they drove. And that's what it is. Sometimes it can be something really bad. And again, I can't talk about this stuff because of client confidentiality, and it's very personal to people. But I have had really, really bad things come up that have, made people really upset and sad, and it can cause big problems. When people say, why don't you record more sessions? This is why, because you can't be putting that kind of stuff online. It's far too personal. But it can be something really bad. It can just be something really funny. It can just be a misunderstanding, or it can be nothing to do with any of that. So, to sum all this up, how do you know if you've got anxiety? If you've got an irrational fear when you drive, let's say if I'm driving now, and let's say a tractor come out of that field without looking, and it's like, oh, that was a bit close. It takes you a minute or two to maybe calm down. That's fine, that's normal. But if I'm like, no, I can't drive, I've got to stop, I can't stop, and I've got to pull over and phone someone to come and get me, and I'm crying and shaking, and I'm spending hours and hours thinking about driving, and you're avoiding motorways, and you're avoiding bridges, and you're making excuses to friends about why you can't drive, and you're hiding it, and you're just pretending that you prefer the train, you've got a problem. That's when you've got what I call driving anxiety that needs therapy. If you just get a bit scared, a bit nervous, driving instructors will be fine. And that's why when some instructors say, I fixed driving anxiety, you haven't. It's because the person never had driving anxiety. They just had a bit of nerves. So check out these other videos of mine on screen now for more help. And if you want to work with me one-to-one online from anywhere in the world, contact me through my website, firstdrive.com. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you again soon for more videos.